So now that we know how to write YAML files, let's see how we can use them to configure our GitHub CI. The way GitHub Actions works is that you will define workflows by placing YAML files into the .github/workflows directory. So here is an example of a very basic YAML file. The only required keys that we need to define is on, which will indicate when the workflow is supposed to run. For example, we can tell it to run every time we push something to GitHub, every time someone opens a pull request or updates a pull request, or for example, when someone leaves a comment on an issue or a pull request, or for example, simply every certain amount of time. The other key that is required is the jobs key, which is a dictionary that contains all the jobs that are supposed to run in this workflow. In this example, we just have this job 1. For each job, we need to specify the platform where it should run with this runs on key. There's different options for the 3 major operating systems. So there is Linux, Windows, and macOS. For each of them, there's different versions that we can pick. So for example, in this case, we're using the latest version of Ubuntu, which as of this time, the latest version they have is 22.04. And then for each job, we also need to tell it the list of steps that it should take. And for each step, we need to specify either this run command or tell it to use some GitHub action that is defined somewhere else. We'll talk about that later. In this case, all it's doing is echoing some sentence. It is convenient to name steps so that they're easier to identify, because by default they're gonna be given just the name of the command that they run. And similarly, it's also convenient to give names to our workflows, because otherwise they'll just be named after the file, after their file name. So the overall structure that you'll see in our GitHub workflows will be something like this. We'll be giving the name to the workflow. We'll be specifying some event or list of events that are supposed to trigger this workflow. And then we'll define a list of jobs that are supposed to run, each of them with 1 or more steps. And there can be also dependencies between them. We'll talk about all of this in later lessons. So this is all for now, and I'll see you in the next lesson.